something that's really dear to me. It's the concept of self-care. How much do you care about yourself, and how well do you care for yourself? It's really important that we do self-care. And I suppose in this world at the moment, everyone's worrying about illnesses and all sorts of things, and people are wearing face masks as a form of self-care. But really, self-care is the physical stuff, but it's so much more. Self-care is respecting and responding to our physical needs. So our physical self needs food. That's a form of self-care. It needs sleep. That can be a really big sign of self-care. Actually making the time to get the right amount of sleep. How many times have you just pushed and not slept enough? And it's really, I was going to say a nasty word, but I won't. It's really horrible when you don't get enough sleep. Self-care is also about our mental state. Looking after this. If you don't look after your mental state, you can't care for yourself, let alone anyone else. So self-care for the mental state, it might be doing something as simple as a meditation or a walk in the park or having a really good talk with a friend, seeing a counsellor, seeing a coach, because we can help you move forward. And another way you can honour yourself and give yourself self-care is about your spiritual self. Now, spiritual self, some people go, oh, let me go to church. Spiritual self is so much more than that. But you know what the final thing you can do for self-care is? You've got to invest in your future. You've actually got to invest in the future, you. So you have to do some stuff for your brain, for your learning, for who you want to be, looking after your health, all sorts of stuff. So I've got a question for you. Hands up if from time to time, like me, you take your body for granted. Yes, I'm sure we've all got our hands up. Sometimes we push through the warning signals, the aches, the pains. We have lives that are so full of so much stuff, and we know we should stop, but we go, oh, I've just got to do this, and then I've just got to do that. And the warning signs are there, but we just keep pushing. Self-care is respecting our, yes, Naki, you do, is accepting and respecting the warning signals our body gives, whether it's a physical pain, whether it's an emotional pain, whether it's a spiritual pain, an ache in here that goes, I'm just not doing what really, really makes me feel fulfilled. So I want you, oh yeah, and having holidays. Yes, Naki, and having holidays. It is so easy to put ourselves last and just think that self-care is not important. It is so important. And as the lovely Naki Jones has just said, having holidays is part of self-care. Now, some people get to have holidays on a regular basis and some don't. I know people who've gone 10 years without holidays. 10 years with just taking a break, but not actually having a holiday, not going somewhere and seeing new things and meeting new people and sitting by a pool and relaxing. So many things that you need to do. So I want my live today to be a wake-up call to you all, a reminder that we've actually got all our priorities wrong. The most valuable thing we have is our bodies. Yes, that's right. Correct, Naki. We are indeed doing that. The most valuable resource we have in life is our physical self, because at the moment they can't do head brain transplants. So if we don't look after this, there's no way for us to get around and do all the amazing, wonderful things we want to do in our life. It's our home, and we do maintenance on our home. You maintain your home. When the pipes are leaking, you get them fixed. You give the walls a paint every so often. And self-care to the physical body is this as well. What are you wearing? Are you wearing horrible things that have got holes in? Things that are see-through? Not by design, but they've got holes in, they're getting horrible. We need to actually dress our body, which includes doing things like our hair. We actually need to dress our body in a way that makes us feel good. Spending some money on your clothes is a form of self-care, because when you allow yourself to go around looking like the old bag lady, you're not looking after yourself. So buying clothes, eating properly. Yes, you can have a little treat now and then, but eating properly, making sure you eat your fruit and veggies, making sure you do all the right things. So if you want a donut once in a while, have a donut once in a while. But at the same time, make sure you have some fruit and some whatever other things you need to have to keep yourself fit and healthy, whatever your diet is, whether it's an omnivore, whether you're a vegan, a pescatarian, whatever you do, make sure you eat properly. And as I said, sleep. Sleep is the most important thing now. I took some medication a couple of years from the doctor, necessary to deal with one part of my body. But the side effect was I didn't sleep for about 5 days. I can assure you, after about day 2 with no sleep, or maybe 20 minutes of napping, you start to get mental. By day 5, I was seeing things coming out of the television. I was talking with whatevers. I didn't know what was going on. Our sleep is so important, and what we sleep on is so important. So if your bed's crappy, get yourself a new bed. Get yourself nice sheets. You can do all these things because you spend so much of your life sleeping and in bed. And if you don't, then you should. It's really important. Sleep is so important. So in order to care for our physical body, we need to nourish it. We need to respect it. No abuse. The occasional bit of naughty, yes, but don't abuse it. Because, as I said, we can't do brain transplants. I know in Futurama they've got little brains in bottles and they can talk, but guess what? In 2020 we haven't. So unless you look after this, there's not a new one of these to get. So you've got to care for it, just as your parents cared for it once, and your mother cared for you before you were born. You have now got to take the responsibility to care for it. So what I want you to do today is to think about self-care, physical self-care, and I'm going to talk about all the other forms of self-care over the rest of the week. This is going to be the self-care week because it is so important. Because when we do our self-care right, we can do what I talked about last night. We can contribute to society. Because if we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after anyone else. Okay, so I'd love you to leave a message and tell me what you are going to do this week to care for yourself. So Katrina, what are you going to do? Michelle, what are you going to do? Cheryl, what are you going to do? And Keith, what are you going to do? We know what Naki's doing. She's organising holidays. So what are the rest of you doing? And those of you who aren't watching it live, what are you going to do for self-care this week? It's so important. Catch you tomorrow when I'm going to talk about the next part of self-care. the emotional self-care, the psychological self-care. Until then, cheerio.